Hi, I'm Sam Butcher, the owner and founder of Butcher Elder Law. The topic that I'd like to discuss with you in this video is, how can I protect my assets? This comes down to the reason why we do estate planning to begin with. And a lot of people think that estate planning is all about their stuff. But if I ask you to take all your stuff, your savings, your checking, your real estate, and all of your other assets and put them in one hand, and put your family and loved ones in the other hand, and you were forced to give up everything in one of those two hands, which would you give up? Well, the decision's pretty easy, isn't it? You'd give up your stuff. Why? Because your family is more important to you than your stuff. So our approach to estate planning and to protecting assets is to protect the family. When we sit down with clients for the first time, I always ask this question: tell me why you're here. I want to be sure I'm on the same page and I understand why the clients came to see me. Often they tell me, I want to protect my assets. To which I immediately respond with this question: protect them from who? Protect them from what? Because I want to understand why they're seeking protection. And this comes down to a consideration of who are your predators, okay? And sometimes maybe not knowing who your predators are. So, who are your potential predators? That list includes, at a minimum, the government, the IRS, lawsuits, the statistics are staggering, family members who may become unintended or accidental predators, and nursing homes and long-term care costs. There are ways of protecting your assets against the threat of each of these potential predators. So if making sure the government is not a predator, let's include a provision so you're not stuck with the government's rules. Because when you're stuck with the government's rules, it costs you more money. How can you avoid that? Well, let us help you create your own rule book in place of the government's rule book, and we can afford you more protections at less cost. What about the IRS? What if estate taxes are a concern? There are some very simple provisions that we can include in a comprehensive estate plan that will enable you to transfer wealth to the next generation without incurring a big tax bill, if that happens to be one of the considerations that's most important to you. What about lawsuits? There are over 1 million legal proceedings in the United States annually. So if lawsuits are a concern, and perhaps they should be, there are some simple provisions that can be included in a will or a trust that can help protect assets in the event that one of your beneficiaries is the subject of a lawsuit. And what about family members? Again, I may have mentioned that family members are sometimes accidental predators. Well, how does that happen? Well, that might happen because you leave a substantial portion of your wealth to a child whose spouse decides they want a divorce. And now half of that gift or bequest that you've left to your daughter or son may be lost to a spouse in divorce. When we sit down and meet with people in our office and we ask them whether it's important to them to protect assets for their children, beneficiaries, in the event of a divorce, they almost always say that that's high on their list. And for good reason, because the divorce rate is so high. So if that's important to you, we can be certain that we leave assets to an adult son or daughter in trust instead of it as an outright distribution. They still have full access to the funds that you leave for them, but in the event of a divorce, those assets are protected, and half of what you leave behind to that child is not going to be lost to a soon-to-be ex-spouse. What about the potential that you might have a minor beneficiary? Are you happy with a minor beneficiary having unfettered access to everything you leave behind for them as soon as they're 18 years old. Maybe you say, well, I don't have any minor beneficiaries, but what happens if one of your adult children predeceases you? Where is their share going to go? Is it going to go to their children? And if so, are those children minors? What if that happens? Well, the gift to that minor can be protected until they reach a higher age, if that's what you're most comfortable with. But you have to include that provision in your will or trust. What if everybody's healthy now, but between now and the time you die, one of your beneficiaries suffers a disability and they're receiving public assistance because they're unable to earn a living? And that assistance is based on their need. Now they inherit a substantial sum of money from you, and they're no longer eligible for public assistance until they spend every dime you've left them on the same thing that was being provided for them with that public assistance. Has the money you left behind to that beneficiary really enhanced their life? Well, it could, but you need to include a safeguard in your will or trust that says, if that's the case when I die, my bequest to that individual is going to be put in a special needs trust. So they won't lose their public assistance, but the money I leave behind for them can be used to enhance their lives, to pay for educational opportunities, or new therapy, or treatment, or things that public assistance is not going to pay for. So if these are concerns of yours, and if you want to know how you can better protect your family, please give us a call. We'd be happy to sit down with you and learn more about you and what your specific concerns are, and tell you what options are available to you to protect your family. Thank you very much.